Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Archie's Briefings. I'm your host, Arshel Branch, and today, you guys, we are going to cover the real life Justice League of America, Trump's JLA, our JLA, the confirmation hearings between RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel with the federal government. We're going to talk about those hearings. Before I go ahead and get into that, I just want to thank my viewers. You guys are awesome. You're obviously getting something out of this. You guys are supporting the show. You're donating to the show, and I'm entirely grateful for that. Before we go ahead and get to the episode, I want you to take the time to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you're new here. Definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell so that we never miss an episode. You all can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Archie Financial. And without further ado, you guys, let's go ahead and let's talk about these confirmation hearings with our real life Justice League of America against the federal government. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it, shall we?
There is something that has been on my heart that I did want to discuss. Discipline is a huge part of being productive, being lucrative. I'm not for anything that goes against true productivity, true sovereignty of the individual. The choices that we make are what's going to be up for judgment.
Okay, guys, so as I said in the open, we're going to talk about these confirmation hearings that happened with RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel. Obviously, RFK is up for day 2. Obviously, that was today's. So we're going to talk about these 3. Let's talk about what the consistencies here are. Seems to be with all 3 of these confirmation hearings, it seems to be a big thing that there's been a major lack of transparency here from what RFK is up for HHS, what Tulsi Gabbard is up for with the intelligence communities, as well as Kash Patel with the FBI. There is a major lack of trust, major lack of transparency with these institutions, and it's because there's no transparency. There's no transparency. There's no accountability with these agencies. All of these problems that we've seen over the last, I would say, 8 years, really, the breakdown of the institutions. Like, it's very hard for the American people to pretend as if these things are trustworthy. Like, like people are not getting injured from vaccines. We saw that. We obviously saw that there was major censorship. We saw big government be politicizing the institutions against political heads, opponents, going after the American people, spying on the American people. I mean, every which way you could possibly think of, our civil liberties were being violated, and we weren't being kept up to date about the information, so we can make informed decisions for ourselves, so we can take action to protect ourselves. And it seems to me that the Democrats and some Republicans, but really Democrats, were losing their minds. They were just being ridiculous, having obvious meltdowns about how they should be moving forward, how they answer questions. It was just obvious meltdowns. Their behavior was ridiculous. I'm 38. And so the first one that we're going to talk about today, you guys, is going to be RFK. The back and forth between RFK and Elizabeth Warren. Now, if you guys watched the hearing with RFK, day 1 hearing, I thought RFK was tremendous. I thought he handled himself very well. You know, he stood up for himself. He did have a lot of back and forths with these crazy Democrats, of course. Really, these positions that they have, these senators, we, as the people, when we watch, we want to see the back and forth, not the tit for tat loudness and crazy behavior. It's hold his information to task, right? You know, challenge his intellect, ask him questions, ask him about his background, ask him what his knowledge is, his expertise. It may be peculiar, as he said in those hearings, but as the American people, we want to make sure that he's the right person for the job. I don't want my bias to say, oh, well, because Trump chose him. Oh, well, because he endorsed President Trump, he should just have this job. That's my bias talking. I'm looking to the Senate committee to challenge my bias, ask him the questions that need to be asked, so that way we know for a fact he's right for the job. And frankly, the fact that he's got thousands of doctors that endorsed him for this position, that signed letters saying, yeah, we want him for the job, I mean, that's a big sign. I'm only going to show the back and forth because really that's the consistency that I want to focus on today for a specific reason. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's run that clip, shall we? Okay, guys, so this is the clip between RFK and Elizabeth Warren. Let's go ahead and let's run that clip, shall we?
Ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS. And I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits, so that what you do as Secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
you're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
No, look, no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy
Okay,
will have.
that's enough of that. That's enough of her. I really don't want to spend too much time on just one particular clip about this. But anyhow, like you saw, right? I mean, she's getting loud. She's cracking her voice because she's getting so frustrated with this. I mean, earlier in that back and forth, the question was asked and answered. Do you expect to take money in that position from those places? No, I do not. I will abide by the ethics laws of the committee. He said and signed that he would do that. And yet none of it mattered to her. It didn't matter that he's here to talk about why he's right for the job. Did she ask him any questions about, well, what makes you right for this position? What, in some of the back and forth that you had with the big pharma companies, when you were having these things litigated out in court, what are your concerns that you would like to address here? Did she do any of those, ask any of those questions in that back and forth? Absolutely not. I mean, she was so egregious that, of course, the people who are supporters of President Trump, of course, conservatives and independents who voted for Trump, especially because of RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, people like that, because of our support for these individuals, of course, we're going to come out in defense of RFK. You're not asking any questions to check my bias. Your bias is actually making this tribal. And in his hearing, he said, there are no such things as Democrat children or Republican children. These are our kids. She cares about protecting the position of the government. That's what seems to be the case to me. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys the Tulsi Gabbard back and forth, because I thought it was no different, right? I mean, they may not have been as egregious with her as they have been with RFK. So let's go ahead and let's run that next clip, you guys. Okay, guys, so this is like a highlight reel of some of the heated exchanges that were at the Tulsi Gabbard hearing today. So I'm just going to let parts of it play and we're going to go from there. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do it.
We got 5 minutes. So I take your answer, and these are your quotes. Brave, please join my bipartisan legislation calling for charges to be dropped against him.
Snowden specifically.
Do you disagree that legislation was not appropriate? Do you believe he is brave or not?
Yeah,
Back those words.
once again, Senator, Edward Snowden broke the law. He also released information
we agree that Edward Snowden
that exposed the United States government's illegal
your
programs.
legislation and your words are still your beliefs. Yes or no, please.
I'm making myself very clear. Edward Snowden broke the law. He released information about the United States government's
I've got other issues to
illegal
raise.
activities.
Ma'am,
If I may just finish my thoughts, Senator. In this role that I've been nominated for, confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will be responsible for protecting our nation's secrets. And I have 4 immediate steps that I would take to prevent another Snowden-like leak.
Was Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America?
This guy gets on my nerves.
Senator, I will also repeat my answer. He broke the law.
You said earlier that you were offended by a question that my colleague from Kansas asked, which I think was his duty as somebody on this committee to fulfill his responsibility to advise and consent. We are not here to be a rubber stamp for the President of the United States. So let me ask you again, do you believe, as the chairman of this committee believes, as the vast majority of members of our intelligence agencies believe, that Edward Snowden was a traitor to the United States of America?
Senator, if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will work with you to make sure that there is not another Snowden-like leak.
Media, it's not a moment to propagate theories, conspiracy theories, or attacks on.
He's annoying me too. That guy specifically, because he was in the Kash Patel hearing as well. That guy annoys me. Bennett annoys the crap out of me. But as you can see, right, just more meltdowns, more egregious questions. They were stuck on Snowden. It's like, do you think he's a traitor? Do you think he's a traitor? First of all, personally, I don't think Snowden is a traitor. I thought he was straight Batman. All right. Okay. In her statements, in her questions, in her questioning and her answering, she said that it would be her responsibility to prevent another Snowden event. What difference does it make if I think he's a traitor? Okay. I want to put things in place, policies in place that allow whistleblowers to take action if they are concerned about actions being committed by the intelligence agencies. Is it possible that Snowden tried to go through these routes and he was shut down every turn? You want to focus on making it impossible for people to snitch on the government if they're doing something wrong. You want to violate American rights, okay, privacy rights, So that way you can go after the so-called bad guy. But you're going to talk to her about Snowden as if we didn't have issues with the intelligence agencies going after the American citizens. Like, we're going to pretend like that didn't happen, but I'm supposed to believe that you care about the American people. Look at what your priorities are. As we saw in RFK, this guy is here to make Americans healthy. Tulsi is here to make Americans safe and to respect their civil liberties while doing it. And yet concern why? I'm supposed to believe you. I'm supposed to believe them when they say that they care. Let's go ahead and let's run Kash Patel, because Kash Patel, there's a few things there. There were some humorous moments. I'm going to cover those as well towards the end of this episode. There were some humorous moments on that. But the back and forth, particularly with Kash and Klobuchar, because that was absolutely ridiculous as well. And again, these people are out of their minds.
You are a sad, strange little man.
So let's go ahead and let's run the Kash Patel moment. And again, you guys, there's a consistency with these people, okay? They are losing their minds on camera in front of the American people. For Bennett to say this isn't a social media moment, everything is a social media moment, dude. You're in the 21st century, you're in 2025. Everything that is on air, if it's on television, it is a social media moment. So let's go ahead and let's run Kash's hearing moments. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do that, shall we? Okay, you guys, so this is the back and forth between Kash and Klobuchar. And one of the things that I found to be really interesting about her whole line of questioning, again, it comes back to their line of questioning, specifically focused on his statements made in interviews, on podcasts, in the mainstream media, has absolutely nothing to do with his experience, has absolutely nothing to do with the thousands of people who have said he would be right for the job, has everything to do with his statements made on social media, podcasts, and mainstream media interviews. So let's go ahead and let's run it, shall we?
You also said you would put the entire fake news mafia press corps on your list. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
I don't have that in front of me.
Benny Johnson's podcast 8/21/23. You have said that the FBI, including today, you said that they remain utterly corrupt. This is an agency with agents who have taken down terrorists, taken down bank robbers, taken down crime. And you wrote that the FBI has become so thoroughly compromised that it will remain a threat to the people unless drastic measures are taken. Do you know that under Chris Wray's leadership, he took over at a very difficult time, we all know that, appointed by President Trump, that during his tenure, the applications to the FBI...
I just want to say something about that first. Okay, so for starters, for her to say that Christopher Wray was appointed by President Trump, nobody cares if they were appointed by President Trump in the first term. Okay, the biggest criticism that President Trump has about his first term are the people that he had around him. We didn't trust Bill Barr. We didn't trust Christopher Wray. Well, let's go ahead and let her go on.
Has in fact tripled. Do you think people would be applying to that agency like in those numbers if they thought it was so corrupt?
It is corrupt.
The American public's trust in it is at 40%. That's an all-time low.
Did you say that the FBI headquarters should be shut down and reopened as a museum of the deep state?
Mr. Chairman, are we allowed to go an extra time?
Let's see, you get a second round. Before I call on Senator Lee.
Could he just answer the question if he said that the FBI headquarters where they investigate cybercrime and terrorism should be shut down and open as a deep state,
hey, Mr. Chair,
as a museum? Did he say that the headquarters should be shut down?
Mr. Chair,
I deserve an answer to that question. He is asking to be head of the FBI, and he said that their headquarters should be shut down.
Mr. Chair, parliamentary inquiry. You got anything you want to say, Mr. Patel, before I go on to Senator Lee?
Simply this. If the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations, the only thing this body is doing is defeating the credibility of the men and women at the FBI. I stood with them here in this country. In every theater of war we have, I was on the ground in service of this nation. And any accusations leveled against me that I would somehow put political bias before the Constitution are grotesquely unfair. And I will have you reminded that I have been endorsed by over 300,000 law enforcement officers to become the next director of the FBI. Let's ask them.
I thought he handled that beautifully. It's like, yeah, let's ask the people who've endorsed me, the hundreds of thousands of people who've endorsed me, okay, to do this position. They all agree I should be here. So now what can we say with all three of them. Of all three of those hearing clips that I showed you, of RFK's, of Tulsi Gabbard's, and of Kash Patel's. What is consistent here? That the line of questioning is ridiculous. It's nonsensical. It doesn't get to the background of these individuals. It doesn't question their dedication to the unification that we're trying to get across with this administration. You know, why not challenge their background, their expertise, their intellect, so that way those who are biased, like myself, can check their bias and see exactly where we could be wrong about them. Maybe they shouldn't be in those jobs, but you're so eager to discredit them, to smear them, to say, oh, well, because Tulsi Gabbard said Snowden is brave and courageous and won't label him a traitor, she can't do the job because I question her judgment, because she believes that government should get warrants before they spy on American citizens, that somehow that means she has terrible judgment, because RFK says that there are chemicals in our food that's deliberately making us sick. And why it's deliberate, right? Because they're not allowed in Canada, certain ingredients. They're not allowed in Europe. Russia doesn't use these types of ingredients. And yet for the same product, like Fruit Loops, like McDonald's, it's making us sick compared to other countries. So this isn't that they don't have concerns. Each and every one of these individuals are going up for positions that they genuinely care about. It's not just with these hearings. We obviously saw this with Pam Bondi's. We saw this with Pete Hegseth's. Not so much with Kristi Noem, but what all these individuals have in common, they all care about a specific issue enough that President Trump has nominated them for these positions. And in every single last one of these hearings, Noem's included, you had a Democrat focus on things that was not important. You didn't challenge their intellect, their expertise, their background, their experience. You didn't bring any of those, common sense questions that would challenge the bias of the supporters who are conservative, independent, the people who voted for President Trump. I need you to ask the right question so I can check my bias at the door, because I'm already going into these hearings knowing you're going to be ridiculous, and ridiculous you have been. Okay? We're not just not watching anymore. Okay. Any move that the government makes, we need to be able to, watch you. Okay. We need to know what you're doing. We need to know how much of our money is going where. We need to make sure that we know everything that you're doing if you're going to establish trust. Okay. Anything you do, we need to know about.
Where I go? Let's go with me.
And I'm just not convinced that the people that were asking these crazy questions, okay, have any interest in protecting the American people. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And so you want the American people to believe that you actually care about us?
Absolutely not.
And so before I end this episode, you guys, because there were some humorous parts in this, and I'm just going to go ahead and show that one humorous part with Senator Grassley, because honestly, I thought he had embraced the sentiment of how most people, I don't even think this is just true for conservatives. I think this is true for everybody at this point. Democrats, independents, Republicans alike. I think we all have the same sentiments that Grassley showed at the hearing with Kash Patel. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's run that clip, because it was absolutely hysterical. Let's go ahead and let's run it, shall we? Okay, you guys. So this back and forth here, what Grassley does, okay, it comes literally just after Patel's response to Klobuchar's ridiculous statements. And oh my gosh, it was hysterical. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to let it play, you guys. It's funny as heck.
And I am quoting his own words from September of 2024. It is his own words. It is not some conspiracy. It is what Mr. Patel actually said himself. Facts matter.
You forget that you had 3 minutes in the next round to say what you just said.
Okay, I'll say them again.
Okay. Before I call Lee.
Mr. Chair, just parliamentary inquiry, and it was on time. It wasn't disputing any of the debate, but I intend to keep to my 7 minutes, and I appreciate you keeping everyone to it. If we go over, can we have that decrement against the time in the second round?
Grassley was funny.
If a member goes over, that was actually 10 minutes, Mr. Chair.
I'm not sure that I want to. Sometimes it's faster to get things done here, just letting people shout and than it does to shut them up.
Mr. Chairman, you're a wise man, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Before we go to Lee.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, what do you want?
I love this guy.
I know. I love Grassley too. That was hilarious. Yes. What do you want? Like he's just over it. He's just over it, you guys. Grassley is over it. Okay. It goes a little on further. Kennedy is like, well, I'm going to violate it too, just like Klobuchar did. I mean, it was hysterical. If you guys watched that hearing, oh my gosh, that part was absolutely hilarious. Like you don't even realize you had 3x, you had 3 more minutes. Like you have a whole other time where you can ask him that question again. Like you're so mad, so in your feelings right now. It's a fact. Facts matter. Facts matter. He needs to answer my question. Woman, you still have 3 minutes later. So like hold it, wait, take a beat, take a breath, come back to yourself. Okay. You still got 3 extra minutes and get to Kennedy. Like, what do you want? Like what? Like what? I'm fed up. He was fed up, you guys. Absolutely hilarious. And he reminds me, like some of these, older people that you would find in movies. It's just this older, I'm here and you people are going to be the death of me.
Good God.
And so as just a way of summing all of this up, you guys, because I definitely wanted to end that with a laugh because Senator Grassley was absolutely hysterical. And John Kennedy is absolutely right. I love this guy. He was absolutely hilarious. These individuals, okay, I don't really think that they are doing their jobs justice. I don't think that they're doing their constituency justice. They're not doing the supporters any justice because I do have a bias and I am looking to the representatives on challenging that bias. Is it just because I support President Trump and this agenda and these individuals that I want them there? And if that's the case, then I need you to show me why they're not right for the job. Klobuchar is focusing on jokes about him turning the FBI headquarters into a museum. That was a joke. When it came to Tulsi Gabbard, they're focusing on Snowden rather than asking her questions about her military background and what experience there could she bring to being the director of our intelligence communities. They didn't do that. Same thing with RFK. They did not ask questions that would actually have us, doubt whether or not he's right for the job. Maybe somebody else is right for the job. They came in so aggressive, so egregious that we are willing to defend them. And that doesn't do any of us any justice. You'll have the Democrats tell us conservatives, oh, it's just because you're a bunch of fascists or whatever the heck. It's like, we're over it. These individuals care about the American way. They care about the American people. They want to do what's right. They want to be able to participate. They did not need this. Okay, they had good lives. They did not need to be smeared. They did not need to have their character constantly questioned. None of them did. Okay, not a darn one of them. And I think it is a major disservice for the senators to have been so egregious in their line of questioning when really we, the people, need to make sure that the people that we're supporting are actually doing right by us. And having dissenting opinion helps keep that bias in check. And they didn't do that. And that's what I took away from this. You guys let me know what you got out of this, because to be frank, I just thought everything kind of made, I wasn't shocked by their behavior. No one should be shocked by the behavior. I'm sick and tired of it. And Grassley's reaction pretty much is my sentiments exactly. Like, what do you want? You're so emotional. You're not acknowledging the unifying aspects of these particular nominees. And it's a disservice. You guys in the comments, let me know what you thought about that. Again, you guys, you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You're new to the channel. Hit the notification bell so that way you never miss an episode. You can follow me on TikTok and on Instagram at Archie Financial. Again, get in the comments. Let me know what you think, because my goodness. My goodness. Thank you all for watching. You'll have a good night. God bless and Kepla. Love you guys. Thanks again for contributing and supporting the show.